audible, you can type a yes in the chat box. Thanks, Aparna. Thanks for confirming. Thank you, Sophia. Just 2 more minutes and then we can start the session. Good evening and welcome to today's exciting webinar, which is Redefining Leadership with AI, Generative AI, and Agentic AI. So, we are thrilled to have you all with us for this insightful and thought-provoking session on one of the most transformative forces, which is reshaping business and leadership today. So, in this webinar, we will explore how this AI, GenAI, and agentic AI are redefining the very nature of leadership in this digital era. So, from enhancing decision making to enabling adaptive intelligence systems that work alongside human leaders. So, these technologies are revolutionizing how we lead, strategize, and also how we execute. So, you'll also gain valuable insights into how these AI systems generate ideas, make these autonomous decisions, and evolve continuously. So, and to guide us through this fascinating topic, we have with us today our esteemed speaker, Sham Venkatesh. Sham serves as the Director of Architecture in FinTech industry and brings over 17 years of experience. As a seasoned technology leader, solution architect, and a data scientist, he offers deep expertise on the evolving role of AI in leadership and its transformative business impact. So today, Sham will help us understand the critical skills leaders need in this AI-driven world, the opportunities the shift presents, and also the challenges we must navigate. So he'll also be answering all your questions. So please feel free to engage and participate. So before we begin, a quick note on how this session will flow. To ensure we make the most of our time, attendees are in listen-only mode. However, you can send in your questions via the chat or else the Q&A tab. And please remember, today's session is just the beginning. If you're looking to deepen your knowledge and skills, we encourage you to explore our postgraduate program in Artificial Intelligence for Leaders. It's a 5 month intensive course designed specifically for business leaders like you who want to leverage AI for strategic decision making and transformational leadership. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Over to you, Sham.
Thank you, Lakshana, for that introduction, and welcome to all the learners, right? So it's a pleasure to connect with you all on this exciting topic. So for the next 55 minutes, I would like to, skim through some of the buzzwords and the hyped, topic of the current times. So hopefully you're all on board and you're looking forward to it. So let's begin the discussion. I would like to start with how the technology has evolved over time, right? I mean, we are all technologists, and also folks. Before I get started, I know Lakshana uh, introduce me to all of you, but I would like to know something about all of you here, right? So I understand all of you are like-minded and enthusiastic about this AI field, but I would like to know your current role and your background, right? So if you can be kind enough to share your current role and background, so I'll get to know what is the depth and the breadth that we can cover for this session, right? So give me an indication on that. So if you could be kind enough to share that, that'll be great on the chat window. Right. And, if you have any questions, folks, regarding AI, regarding the program itself, or, regarding how you can get on to the learning journey of AI, feel free to ask that on the chat window. Right. So I'll try to answer them as we go. So jumping back into our topic, right? So we want to talk about how technology has evolved over time, right? And each generation, the we humans, we try to solve problems using the most advanced technology of that time, right? So we had the industry 1.0 during the late 18th century, and here the core innovation was steam engine, right? And little bit of mechanization. And what did we solve? We solved manual labor. We solved productivity constraints, right? Like example, in the weaving looms, right? So mostly hand looms, right? We were able to bring in water or steam powered mills, right? And this transformed the society into more manufacturing hubs, right? And in the late 19th century, we had the industry 2.0 revolution where we moved from production to mass production, right? The innovation was electricity at that time, right? Assembly lines, right? The scale, speed, and standardization is what we solved. An example is Ford. Henry Ford came up with the assembly line, right? And that reduced the car manufacturing time drastically. And unfortunately, that's a very outdated assembly line concept, but it's still used in even in software development, right? And where we are much ahead of our time, right? So that began the consumer economy and the global trade, right? So the industrial 2.0 revolution enabled us with that. But the 3.0 was a massive shift, what we saw in the 20th century, right? There was core innovation, leading to computers, electronics, programmable, controllers, PLCs, as we used to call, right? So what did we try to solve? We tried to solve human errors. We try to solve inefficiencies. We try to solve repetitive tasks, right? And came up with more automation in manufacturing, right? And this digital industries began to rise because of that. Businesses saw that they could scale better with digitization, right? And it led to a global IT expansion, right? And in the early 21st century, we had data and connectivity, right? Where the innovation was IoT, cloud computing, big data, and a little bit of early AI, you could say, right? And what we solved was, how do we do decision making? How do we build siloed systems which are smart, right? So, an example could be like a predictive maintenance using sensor data, right? Coming up with smart factories, real-time monitoring, agile supply chains, and things like that, right? So things were pretty good for us until that. And Industry 5.4 was the inflection point when we saw more human-centric AI, and this is continuing, right? It's now and beyond. The innovation that happened during this time was, general AI. We'll talk about that. Generative AI, how human and machine can collaborate. More ethically aware systems, right? So we try to create augmented systems, right, helping us make intelligent decisions, right? In healthcare, we are now having AI diagnosis, right? Where you can move from a scans, where you used to have a radiologist, you have AI diagnosing them, and only when a human is needed in the loop, a radiologist will step in. Right. In the retail, we have more personalized marketing content where in seconds it comes up with personalized marketing and it's able to generate that and send it out to customers, right? In enterprises, we have co-pilots where developers are being assisted with coding, right? With content communication, your HR communications mostly all gen AI driven, right? Legal documents are now AI driven, right? So the impact was we moved further from productivity to more creativity, to more empathy, to more ethically aware tech, right? And this is now empowering us rather than replacing us. Every each of these industrial revolution, we thought technology will replace human, right? When computers came, most of us and even our earlier generation, the buzz was that humans jobs would go away, right? But rather the jobs creation increased, right? It only empowered us, it only replaced what was the job at that point in time, right? So the takeaway from this slide is really right, we are moving from an industrial era where we solved the bottlenecks of its time, right? Where we moved away from a physical effort to a more cognitive overload, right? Now AI is now augmenting human intelligence. It's not just automating tasks, right? So the winners in this era will be those who rethink process, who can reimagine your business, right? You can reimagine what value you are delivering, right? And it's not just digitization that happened in 3.0 and little bit in 4.0, right? Now it's where how you can reimagine your business value, right? So that's what I would take away from this slide, right? So great, Akshat, thank you for sharing. Akshat is a undergraduate student. Shadan works okay, Shadan is asking about siloed. So siloed systems, I mean, more I meant SILOED, right? Siloed means more individual capable systems, right? Like earlier you need more than one system to be able to do one job, right? Now we had the intelligence kind of cooped and built within one single system, so that's why we call it siloed systems, right? Great, thanks for asking that, right? So moving on, what is AI, right? So I'm expecting and more targeting the leaders or, audience in this group, right? Because this presentation is mostly around how do we redefine leadership, right? So you might be a leader in your respective space, in your respective organization, in your respective domain. Now we want to align how AI can empower you and your organization, right? And how you can benefit from that, right? So what is AI? AI refers to a system or a machine, right? That can behave like human, right? That can simulate human intelligence. It can perform tasks. It can improve themselves based on the data that they have, right? If I want to put it simply, AI is the ability of machines to think, learn, and make decisions for you just like a human, but it is faster, right? And it can do that at scale, right? So imagine you have a data and you want to decide, how you want to go, but the data is now terabytes of data, petabytes of data. How would you decide? How would you predict? Right? How would you look at what should be your 2026 sales target? Right? So all that needs some cognitive capability, and that is why what AI gives you, right? And why it matters, because speed, right? Now automation took few hours to do, right? But now things are expected to be done in seconds. And the scale, right? We were talking about few hundreds, thousands, 10,000s records of data. Now it is millions, right? And without fatigue, right? Millions it can crunch in a second, right? Insights. you want to find patterns, you want to predict human misses, right? Yeah, there can be a human error, right? How would you avoid that, right? So that's where AI comes in. When you want to create something like a marketing a marketing campaign, or you want to design a logo, you want to draft legal contracts, right? So for all those creative tasks, AI matters, right? So, AI, you can think of being a very smart analyst that you have, and very fast writer, and very accurate assistant. And it's available 24/7 to you, and it works across department, not just sales, not just HR, not just finance. It can work across your departments, right? So that's why AI is the buzzword, and it is and it's not a fad, and it's a reality, right? And AI is here, and how these are the different types of AI that we have today, right? So you have artificial narrow intelligence, where it can perform a single task very well, right? Like for example, Google Maps, right? Or let's say a face detector, or a little bit, it could be another very blurred example could be chatbot, right? It does perform one task very well, right? And most of the common or no, most of the AI you see today on your phone or anywhere is artificial narrow intelligence, right? They can do voice recognition, they can do just a specific thing for a specific use case, right? Now, where we are, currently aspiring to be is, generative AI, where we'll get. But, a lot of systems are moving towards general AI, right? And this has not achieved. It's a very futuristic vision, right? Where human level reasoning is possible, right? It can learn, it can adapt, it can perform just like how a human will do, right? And that's general artificial intelligence, very, very future vision, right? And probably one of the toughest, right? And it would be a pinnacle of our, civilization if it ever happens, right? But what is possible now from a narrow AI, what is possible now is where we are able to use AI to create new content, right? We are able to create text, we are able to create images, we are able to create code, and we are able to create voice, video, etc., right? You might have worked with chat gpt, you might have worked with dali, you might have worked with github copilot, right? You might have worked with claude, anthropic claude, right? Notebook lm, right? Gemini. All these are where it is able to create a new content for you, right? So that's those are the different types of AI that we are currently, or broadly, that we can classify into, right? So how hopefully all these are making sense, and you're able to gather some value, right? But I see the chat window is very silent, so please put your background, what is your current role, right? One, I can get to know what audience we are talking to. And secondly, any questions that you have that we are talking about, please feel free to post that, right? So the impact of AI, especially on the leadership, right? What is it, right? So we talked about all this, right? Where you are able to make smart decisions, we're able to make better decision making, your productivity is increasing, right? But how you as leader can leverage AI to revolutionize your business, right? So folks, we are currently at an inflection point, right? Where AI is not just a technology trend, right? It's a strategic shift where it's reshaping how leaders think, decide, and lead, right? So your leadership is also being transformed as we speak, right? So earlier, the decisions were mostly gut based, right? Mostly speculative. Now it's more data augmented, right? So you relied on experience, you relied on some of your associates, and you relied on your own intuition. But now AI can provide you real-time insights. AI can do scenario modeling. it can give you predictive analytics. And uh, how it's done, it's it's doing faster, right? Almost split second, almost real time, right? And it is giving you better informed um, decisions with measurable outcomes, right? I'll give you an example, right? So you want a business forecast, right? Your CXO asks you, I want a business forecast. Because in case we are not, our roadmap is not aligned, then we need to course correct. Right? You can use an AI, you can use, like for example, shadow systems and many other, modeling systems to simulate or a scenario, right? You can do a scenario modeling, or you can get some predictive analytics, right? Great, great. Thank you, Sophia. Yeah. So that's why it's important, right? So we moved from a gut based to data augmented decision. And what AI is also doing is it is moving us away from command and control to more collaboration, right? So earlier machines, we were able to command, we were able to control it, right? So you were issuing instructions via coding, right? Software code, and the machine followed. Right. So if at all, the customer has this much, bank balance, if the savings account is this, if the age is this, then do this, right? So those were the commands which are coded using software languages, right? But now we are able to co-create with you AI. We are able to automate a routine. We are able to amplify, our creativity, right? So there is now more time for strategic thinking, right? We can think on how we can disrupt the market, what can be the time to market, how can we beat the competitors, what should be our unique selling point, right? What should be our competitive advantage, right? So we are now having time rather than focusing on how to control machines, right? So the lesser and lesser admin task, right? So, like leaders today use AI to generate executive summaries, right? So you want to go summarize, let's say, a certain program. You want to summarize, a certain, event, right? Or you want to send out memos to your investor. You want to pitch product ideas. You can use AI to do that and use the your time for more productive and strategic thinking, right? So Syed Imran has a question with he's with 20 years of experience. Do I need to understand how the basics of ML and to understand how AI works, right? The AI for leaders, what will be the level, right? Great question, Syed, right? So I think this is a very general question and a very common theme, right? That we come across for this cohort, right? So let me tell you, you don't need any programming knowledge, right? You don't need any statistical knowledge or mathematical knowledge, right? Any of this background is not needed. As long as you are a leader, as long as you are in some capacity to that, for decision making in your respective organization, then this program will be for you, right? And how this program works is we'll get to that in a bit, where it will start with a boot camp sort of things where you will be taught what is ML. Even before ML, what is data? What are the different classes of data? What are, various attributes in data, right? And then, some basic statistical measures, and then we move on to machine learning, right? And again, machine learning, very, more broadly into supervised learning and supervised learning recommendation system. You get deeper into these aspects, right? And once you are, you have, yeah, enough understanding of ML, that's when we progress to AI. It's a very organically structured, program, right? So I'll get to the structure of the program, but to your question, you don't need any of the basics, right? So from AI moved from job roles to skill-based workforces, right? So what it means is you must foster reskilling. You must, as leaders, look at adaptability, right? How you can do human AI teaming, right? And lead how you can lead to, upskilling initiatives across your organization, right? So how you can move away from risk averse to more AI governed innovation, right? So that's the demand today. How you as leaders, right, bring in ethical frameworks, guardrails, bias monitoring, right? So today organizations are not looking for leaders who fear AI, right? They want leaders who shape how AI is used responsibly, how it's used effectively, and how it can be adopted faster, right? So and boards are demanding full transparency, right? How AI model is affecting customer decisions or organizational decisions, how it will improve customer or associate efficiency, how it's improving customer experience, right? So you as leaders should be able to explain and in the spirit of full transparency how you can adopt AI and how it can shape the business, right? So that's where it becomes important for you as leaders, right? So mindset shift, I would say, right? Where you're moving from optimizing the present to designing the future. You're moving away from delegating to partnering with AI. You're moving away from let's say knowing answers to asking better questions, right? And most importantly, you're moving away from managing resources to how you can unleash the potential of human and machine combined, right? So really as leaders, if I were to take away from this slide is experiment boldly, right? So use AI, and AI will definitely reward for those who learn fast, right? And invest in talent. You need, your fluency in AI will be a superpower, right, for the rest of the organization. And lead with ethics, right? So if your trust will define long-term impact, right? So AI is not going to replace leaders, but leaders who use AI will replace who don't, right? So that's a phrase I generally tell to people, right? So with that, let's get into a little bit technical, right? So what is Gen AI, right? So what do you think? I'm sure you have all come across Gen AI and at a high level what is Gen AI. But can you explain on the chat in your own words what do you mean by Gen AI? Yeah. So type it out. It's a branch. Saurav says it's a branch of AI that deals with media like images, videos. Great, great. Yeah. What else? So Gen AI is what generates content, Deepak says, right? It can generate new ideas instead of opening website and telling us. Great, great answer, Mohammed. And Deepak as well. Right? Anmol says it generates imaginative things. Absolutely. Shubhra says it generates output based on our instruction. Absolutely, right? And that instruction is what we call as prompt, right? And this program covers prompt engineering as well, right? So Gen AI, like you all said, is a type of AI which can create new content. And what that content could be? It could be text, it could be image, it could be audio, it could be video, it could be code, basically based on the data that it is trained on, right? So Gen AI just doesn't analyze. On top of it, it creates, right? So it can generate human-like content in seconds. It can enable automation of knowledge work. It can scale creativity like never before, right? That's the power of Gen AI, right? Akshat says it's a type of AI designed to create new content rather than analyze. Absolutely what I just said, right? Great, great. Thank you, Akshat, right? So what it can do, you might have come across ChatGPT, Jasper, DALI, Midjourney, GitHub Copilot, 11 Labs, right? For video, Claude, Anthropic Claude, absolutely, Deepak, right? So all these are basically, Gen AI, right? And for you as leaders, why it matters, right? So you should be looking at how you can increase productivity at scale, What I mean is, let's say, how do you automate a repetitive task? Like, for example, there's a report writing, right? And there is a summarization of something. You often need to send out meeting notes, right? How can you scale this, right? How can you improve your productivity, right? Gen AI is the answer. It can free up your time for more strategic work, higher value work. And why else it matters, right? It can personalize, right? It can, let's say, you are dealing with you're an e-retail company, and somebody is complaining that they have not received the product, right? And they are, let's say, very frustrated. Gen AI can look at the frustration, it can do a sentiment analysis, and it can create a response with empathy, with the tone that it can probably, right, help, kind of extinguish the frustration for the customer, right? It can customize emails in at scale. It can create websites at scale. It can create ads. It can create documents, right, for millions of users instantly, right? And it is an innovation booster. If you see, a lot of innovation today is all Gen AI based, right? So it's only tip of the iceberg. Maybe there is an innovation that is probably coming from you or your organization, right? And Gen AI would be the medium in which you would do your innovation on, right? So you can rapidly prototype ideas, you can mock up presentation. Uh, no, we are not getting into any of those details, Deepak. I mean, it's a 50-minute session, and we will be covering more breadth rather than the depth at this point, right? We'll throw hundreds of use cases, right? Try to catch them, as much as you can. Already, I might have mentioned about 20 use cases, right? So, what are the considerations for US leaders, right, when it comes to Gen AI? Wherever you need accuracy, right? Um, then maybe you need to be careful, because Gen AI can generate incorrect or biased output, right? And you need to build right controls, right checks, right? And let's say you have a data science team or a machine learning team, they will be enthusiastic to go build a Gen AI for you, right? But you as leaders are the ones who bring in these controls, these considerations. And Gen AI needs more data governance today, right? What if it's exposing sensitive customer information? US leaders need to bring those controls. US leaders need to bring a regulation how Gen AI can be ethically used in your business, right? So AI was just an analyst. Gen AI is going to be your creative partner, right? So and US leaders have responsibility in building the right controls and apply it where it matters to your respective organization, right? So we talked a lot about Gen AI, but really, some of the things that you need to consider, why you need to consider Gen AI is the productive gains, the smarter decision making, scalability of creativity and innovation, right? And how you even imagine your workforce, right? And how do you bring in governance, risk, right? So rather than thinking about should we be using AI, US leaders should, have that mindset shift to start thinking where can we use Gen AI, right? And how do we create outsized business value, right? So that's where, that's where US leaders will be expected to do, right? How do fearless and governance controls go hand in hand, right? Again, Ram, right, it's a very broad topic. We'll try to cover that, right? What are the two aspects? What does these two aspects mean for leaders? Good question, right, Ram? See, governance, is very important when it comes to Gen AI, right? So you'll have to be, let's say, um, one second, I'm just getting a ping. Yeah, so you need to be able to set up governance, like for example, data privacy, right? Like for example, the accuracy of the model. Are the outputs verified? Are you going to verify it? Will there be a RAG architecture or in-house knowledge which will verify what your GenAI is throwing out? Right. And access controls. Is the GenAI has the right access to the right data systems? How matured are your data systems? Right. And what tool should we be using? Should the interface be like a chatbot interface? Should that be a comprehensive Q&A kind of interface? Right. Compliance. If you are into, let's say, healthcare, HIPAA, is it HIPAA compliant? Right. If you are supporting European customers, is it GDPR compliant? Right. Are the responsible AI policies in place? Right. So these are the setups, governance setups that you as leaders will be expected to bring in and add more controls to your GenAI system. Does that make sense? Yep. All right. So moving on to this, another very a buzzing concept, which is AI agent. Okay. We talked about Gen AI, right? And what is Gen agent, right? AI agent, right? Anybody wants to give a stab on take a stab at what do you mean by AI agent? So AI agents are, yeah, they are like a team member. Yes, absolutely, Anmol, right? So AI workers, they are like AI workers, Deepak says, right, for specific tasks, and they can coordinate. Wonderful, wonderful. I think this is a very, enthusiastic group, and there's a lot of things you already know about. The topics we are talking about, right? So AI agents are autonomous systems that can perceive, they can reason, they can act, and they can learn over time because these are AI, right? And it to do this, you don't have to intervene, right? Or probably very minimal intervention, right? So they are unlike chat GPTs or Excel macros, right? They can handle multi-step task, right? They can interact with other systems like calendar systems to, let's say, schedule an appointment, right? They can talk to other APIs like a Salesforce or a CRM, right? Create a ticket in some other system, right? Or they can even send emails. They can talk to users, right? So they are basically autonomous, right? So when I say autonomous, they you give them a goal, right? AI agents, and um, you as human don't have to tell them what is the step by step thing, right? So they can act on that goal without any human intervention. They can do multi-step planning, right? They can break down a complex goal into subtasks, step by step task, and execute them, right? They can interact with different tools. We talked about tooling based AI agents are very popular, right? Very easy to build, and I think those are the major applications we see today. And it has the memory, means there is a context that it can save. It can remember your previous actions. It can remember previous provided preferences, right? And it can take feedbacks. There's a feedback loop. It can self correct, right, based on the results, right? Example use case, I think one of you were asking for example use cases. Customer support agent is a classic AI agent example. Let's say you are a telecom industry, and you have a customer support, right? And they get all these tickets, right? And the volumes are so huge, especially during the billing time, right? So you can bring in a AI agent which can resolve queries. It can pull from internal systems, it can update tickets, and it will only escalate if needed. Basic things like why my bill is so high, why is this amount this much, it can easily answer it for you, right? It can not just answer like a GenAI chatbot, right? It can go and pull for that respective customer, right? What were the calls? What were the specific SMS they sent, or something that they did with the telecom service that because of which their bills are inflated, right? And let's say they had asked for let's say a stoppage of a certain service and it was not stopped and the bill was incorrectly generated. The AI agent will go and rectify that, right? Another example, marketing campaign agent, right? It can generate campaign ideas. It can create all the visuals needed for that campaign. It can also write an ad copy, and it can do A/B testing on real platforms, how how customers will be interacting with those ads, how that visuals will have impression on the customer, right? And take feedback on that, and it'll give you scenario modeling and then roll it out. It can do everything. A financial assistant agent, another example. It can monitor financial reports, okay, and it can flag any anomaly, right? So let's say you are a investment firm, in investment analysis or research firm, and you are looking at various companies and their financial reports, right? And it's very difficult. Every company has four financial reports, right? Every quarter they have a financial report, and annually they have another financial report. There's so many commentaries that promoters give. It's very difficult for a human to do that. What AI agent can do, it can flag any anomalies in the report. It can generate a summary. Earlier, we needed one AI model to just look at anomaly detection, one AI model to generate a summary, one AI model to draft an email and send it out to the stakeholders, right? Now, an AI agent can do all of this step by step, right? And maybe the fourth step is needed for very few edge cases. It can do that, right? So that's the power of agentic AI, right? Which is currently driving a lot of adoption, right? So we talked about how AI is an analyst, and Gen AI is a smart creative assistant, and AI agent is a self-driven junior employee, right? So one who works 24/7, one who follows instructions, who learns quickly, collaborates with tools, and does everything on his or her own, right? So that's agentic AI. Let's move on. And here are some of the characteristics. We talked about this, right? It can autonomously perform. It can do perception. By the way, agentic AI will power the next way of enterprise automation, right? So it's not just co-pilot. It's not stopping there. It's not just co-worker. We should be able to explore where autonomous execution will add more value to you. Your job will be to govern it, how you can do it responsibly, but the execution will be done by agentic AI, right? So it can be it can be reactive. Let's say market it goes beyond certain range, or it goes beyond a certain range. Agentic AI can take action on behalf of you, right? So all those things really matter, and you as leaders can take advantage of that, right? So sales agent, support agent, HR agent, ops agent, all these are today example use cases, right? Ops agents, one of the companies we were consulting, they an agentic AI, it was monitoring the KPIs, right? How the lead time is, how they're able to hand off, what is the duration for handoff and all. And it would at real time predict if any risk is there in the entire operation. It can trigger workflows, right? And it can look at threshold, right? If they're breached, right, it can alert your leaders, right? So all that is possible using agentic AI, right? So there's a great opportunity here, is what we want to call out, right? So automation, scalability, if you're looking for that, right? Definitely agentic AI is something you can consider. And how do you bring in adoption, right? If in your organization, let's say you're currently maybe level 0, or even before that, right? Maybe you're only standardizing your data architecture within your organization. Maybe you're maturing on the machine learning execution, right, or deliveries. Maybe you're only exploring AI, right, in going in your own pace. That's all fine. But still, how you can start looking at agentic AI, right? One, look at small projects, right? Look at piloting with, let's say, internal use cases, right? Gen AI, like a Gen AI executive assistant, right? And see how you can build trust, right? How it can monitor outputs. I mean, you need to monitor the output for a certain time, and is it able to maintain without any human oversight, right? And as leaders, you can start upskilling your team, and for that, of course, you have to upskill yourself. But you can teach teams how they can work with agents and not just use them. You can embed agentic thinking, right, within your automation, right? So earlier it was delegation, where, let's say an associate has to do this repetitive, so let's delegate it to some automation, right? But now it's moving away from delegation to more autonomous automation, automation at scale, right? So that's where there is a strategic opportunity here, right? Mohammed shares that they have two in-house AIs. Um, there is strict instruction not to use any company confidential data. Yeah, so that's a very common thing, right? So, I work with a lot of financial services organization as well, and it's the same case, right? But yet, you cannot be a very what you can say, you cannot be uh, you cannot be in the race. Your competitors are using them, right? Just because there are strict, it doesn't mean that you cannot innovate, right? So you have to build controls, you have to build regulations, governance, and then try to adopt AI. It will take time, Mohammed, right? So that's where you as leaders need to come up with roadmaps, right? How, first of all, are there use cases, right? If something can be done with automation, something can be done with a rule based system, then you don't need any AI. But let's say you have very little data, right? You're a brand new company and you want to predict something. You can build a model over Excel. You don't need a AI to do that. But let's say you have 20 years of data, 30 years of data, petabytes of data, terabytes of data that you need to look at. That's when AI comes in. And when you know that there is an AI use case, you have to frame your AI use case. What are you expecting your AI to do? When AI says it predicts it as, let's say, high, medium, low, right? Next sales target should be high. What does that mean for you, right? So your predictions should be defined well, right? And that definition should be, very transparent for your organization, your analyst team, your software development team, your data science team, right? Business stakeholders should all be on the same page, right? And now you have a solid AI use case. And when you have a solid AI use case, right? So you start building, AI, you start building, let's say, models. You are able to like use features. You are now very, reliable, model to take it to production. Now you have to start monitoring it. For that, you need the entire ML ops framework. And let's say you build the ML ops framework. Now you're doing ML very well. You're able to deliver AI solutions, and your business is getting advantage and value adds out of it. Right now, how do we start measuring that? You need to have KPIs in place, right? And now, let's say your KPIs are being met. Now where else can you bring? You have the experience now, right? You have the maturity of building AI models, AI deliveries, right? Now you have the data which is more standardized, more accessible for the data organization, right? Now you can start think of agentic AI, right? So that's the roadmap that you as leaders need to put, right? So you should be able to assess where your organization is right now in terms of maturity, come up with a maturity model, come up with a roadmap, come up with project plans to align with that roadmap, right? And get your organization moving forward in the right direction. right? So Ram asked, do organizations today have enough risk appetite to allow autonomous decisions by AI agents? So the risk appetite grows over time. It doesn't grow from day one, right? So you need a human in the loop. There should be controls in place, and slowly you build trust over your AI systems, including agentic AI, right? And when you have the trust, you build governance, you build controls, and then it can run autonomously, right? But from day one, it is not autonomous, right? Cost impact should be there, ROI will be there. You should have very well defined ROI, right? It cannot be, you'll not be able to get ROI in one day. Maybe you won't even get in 1 year, because you are investing in a very high paying, high value delivering data science team, right? You're using tools, you're using niche tech stack, right? Niche tooling, right? So your cost is going to be high, and you should have a clear timeline where you will be meeting your ROI, right? And let's say, and you have to assess, you have to have milestones, and you have to assess along the way. And if you feel it's not going to meet your ROI, then you need to pivot, right? You need to move to more traditional software, because that's where you don't probably have the appetite at this point. But whatever you did so far, you have gained the experience, you have got the learning, you have matured slightly, right? Now you can use that for, and that's, you can think that as an investment, right? Yeah, absolutely, right. With traditional software, you can debug, you can fix it. So with the AI models, you need to monitor them, right? And these monitoring is not simple. That's what we talk about in this entire program. There is data, there is model. The model accuracies drift over time. The data drifts over time. The data is not relevant. You are looking at seasonal data. Now it's a different season. Healthcare data, right? The diagnosis during seasonal flu is different, and the diagnosis for the same flu during non-season is different. So the data drifts every quarter, every year, maybe every 3 years, right? So you should have careful monitoring in place, right? So you should have a very solid data engineering team. You should have solid ML ops team, right? Solid data science team, and you as leaders should, be able to, guide them, right? So that's the difference between software, right? Traditional software and AI. You can only start building value, generating value, if you do it right, right? The risks are far higher, right? There is reputational risk with AI, right? So there are so many examples, right? LinkedIn jobs, you might have heard, right? So it was showing different pay, the pay for a certain job open position was different when male, a job seeker looked at it versus a female job seeker, right? And this came as a huge reputational loss for LinkedIn, right? Bias, absolutely. You need to be careful about bias, right? So I know we are just 7 minutes to go, and what we want to cover is, where can you get if you're interested, and this is where you want to align your rest of your career, and really jump onto that bandwagon. How do you fast track that, right? So that's where this comprehensive 5 month program can help you, right? And this is a overview of that program, right? So like I said, you don't need any background. You start with understanding AI through data, right? You start with what is data itself, right? What is business of AI, right? Because that's more important rather than knowing AI. What is the business of AI, right? How you can do data visualization. I'm sure you as leaders have seen so many visualizations, but this will give you a very fresh perspective to that, especially when you will be working on AI. You will be getting into supervised learning, right? Building projects, case studies out of it. You'll be getting into unsupervised learning, where you look at pattern, how you can how you can see patterns within data, right? How you can cluster them, how you can do dimensionality reduction, right? And how you can build recommendation systems out of it. You'll be getting into more advanced AI, which is called neural networks, right? Water feed forward neural networks, right? You don't need to have any math background, right? You don't need any programming background to this, right? So it is all, we will be using tools like NIME, what we have, called out here. These are low code, no code platforms, right? So the important thing for you as leaders is, the outcome of AI, not how you do AI. You can hire someone to do that, right? That is what you'll get out of this program. There's going to be, Gen AI, right? For 2 solid weeks, you'll be looking at 9 case studies and, 1 or 2 projects, where you will be doing it from scratch and doing Gen AI, right? So understanding, defining, looking at use cases is all very superficial. But when you do it from scratch, right? When you start thinking, right? So that's when the actual magic happens, right? And here you are affiliated to a reputed global university, right? And this is for anybody who is, today undertaking any business decisions within your respective organizations, some leadership capability, ability that you, drive in your respective organization, right? And it is, tailored program by very esteemed academic faculty, right? So these are the grades of the academicians in the field of AIML, right? All these are project driven, Deepak. If you look at every single module, there is a project and multiple case studies, right? And if you are interested, there will, you can ask for more, right? And if you have the bandwidth, if there is interest, right? So you'll be looking at, some examples of projects that you were asking, right? You will be doing, potential customers who can be targeted for a marketing campaign. You will build a project from scratch, right? You will be analyzing huge data set to do that. You will be doing web scraping, right? And then doing an NLP, how you can, extract data out of it. And this will be for a e-commerce platform, right? You'll be looking at how you can conceptualize an AI product, right? All these, and this is the testimonials from our alumni, right? So basically, you can definitely learn AI. There are a lot of avenues to do that. But when it comes to academic rigor, and you need that executive relevance, right? Being from leadership, you as decision makers, you're not developers. You should be focusing on strategy. You should be focusing on use cases, risk, and governance, right? That's what this program caters. You'll get credibility, right? And there is a global perspective because it's, affiliated, and there's peer learning. You'll be working very closely with diverse cohort and global leaders, right? There is guidance, there is structured learning journey that you will get, right? There are practical playbooks that you can take advantage of, right? There is access to global faculty, thought leaders, right, who will be working very closely with you. You will get cross-functional skills, right? And it will be future-proof, right? And to most extent, I can say that this is future-proof. And there is capstone projects and industry certifications that you can also get from here, right? So and once you're done, there is of course the alumni network and lifelong learning that you can carry forward, right? So definitely, take advantage of that, and do, consider this. Lakshana has shared a link on the chat. I would request you to, grab that link, bookmark it. It has more details about this program, and also you can get in touch with the program team in case you have any further questions, right? You can also take a screenshot of this page, right, where you can call back the program team if you have any questions. So that's all I had today, folks. I hope this was helpful. We covered, a very broad topics on AI, Gen AI, Agentic AI, and what it means for you as executive leaders, right? So I hope you found this valuable, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thanks. Bye.